It says we're going.
Does it? Hey,
yeah, finally. Yeah, who saw that coming?
Not me. After all these technical issues,
we've been having all sorts of fun technical issues here behind the scenes. How's it going, everybody, tonight? I am Patrick Goodman. For those of you who are new to me, welcome. I've been doing a lot of these this week. This is my fourth interview, third live stream in 4 days.
You've been busy.
I have been a busy boy. I am happy to welcome, however, from the Final Frontiersman, one of our game's great fans, Bill Barbato. Bill.
Hello.
Hey, did I say that right?
You did, in fact. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. Introduce yourself. Say hello. Plug whatever you want to plug.
Plug whatever I want to plug. I don't have much, but I'll do my best. So hello, everyone, whoever is watching. Yes, as Patrick said, I am Bill Barbato from the Final Frontiersman YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube at the Final Frontiersman. We do a lot of videos about all things Trek, with a heavy focus on the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. That's really how I got into this. It's because of Star Trek Adventures. I love the game. It reinvigorated my love for Star Trek. It connected me with so many people who I would have never met before or never met in my life without the game, including Patrick here. I mean, it's really done a lot of good things for my life in just expanding my social circles and just making me happy. But yeah, I also had my very first standalone adventure for the game published. It's called Ghost in the Machine. So if you're extraordinarily bored, you may check that out and see if that's up to par for your group. But thank you, Patrick. Thank you for welcoming me to your channel.
Well, like I say, happy to have you here. So you started relatively recently with STA, if I remember correctly.
I started STA I started my first game of it 5 years ago, and my group started almost 4 years ago now. The channel is pretty new. That's kind of the thing. The channel that's probably why it looks new, because the episodes I'm uploading there are actually from years ago. I'm just extremely slow in uploading it. So it's like we have like 5 episodes online now. Not to say we have a ton of episodes going. I don't know if I told you, but my group, we play online, and we're very international. We have people from the US, the UK, South Africa, Germany, Taiwan. I always get confused if it's Taiwan or Thailand. I think it might. Oh my God! I see. My brain doesn't brain in the morning. Australia, and then myself here in Japan. So it's hard to get the group together.
I can see that. Yeah.
That's it's Thailand now that I think about it. Like, I always want to say Taiwan.
That is.
Sorry, Will, if you're watching. I always forget which Thai.
There we go.
Yes, that is Ghost in the Machine. Yes, that is the PDF cover for the standalone adventure, and it's very, very odd for me to see my name in print on something that I'm not submitting to the city office. So
it's it never gets old. I will assure you of this. I mean, my first gaming product was. I'm about to date myself. 1999.
Wow, that's quite a history.
I've been doing this for a long time. Yeah, my first Shadowrun title that I published was in 1999.
Oh, Shadowrun! Wow.
Yeah. Hasn't all it's not all Star Trek for me, as you know. It's a lot Star Trek. It's a lot Star Trek. Don't get me wrong. It is by no means all.
Oh, and I do want to apologize for anyone watching. I'm going to be taking sips of water throughout this because my hay fever is destroying my throat. So the more I'm talking, the worse it's going to get. Apologies. It's very unprofessional, but better than a coughing fit.
I've had more than one streamer say, sometimes people watch to see what you're doing on stream. So, I'm constantly drinking something.
Yeah. But
I
mean,
I consider it a value add,
yeah, it's a slice of life sort of moment here. So what other games were you into? So you were writing for Shadowrun. What else did you
I wrote
do,
for
or
Shadow.
just
Yeah.
play?
I started in 1980 with first edition AD&D.
Mm-hmm.
Back when it was just AD&D.
Yeah.
Branched into several different TSR games because there weren't nearly as many choices back then. But I did I did Gamma World and Star Frontiers, and I branched out into Traveler.
Mm.
Had a brief dalliance with the James Bond RPG from Victory Games.
Oh, I
But I could
don't
never
even know that one.
I could never ever find a group. It's like, so it was mostly just me reading the books, going, this would be really cool if I could
Yeah.
find someone to play this game with. It's a pity.
Yeah, I have shelves of that regret on there, that just books I've read again and again that have never seen the light of day, and just thinking this would be awesome if I could get someone to play it.
Yeah. But I found Fast Star Trek in '83.
Mm-hmm.
Never really looked back from there, but when I was in the Air Force, I was in Ground Zero Comics and Games in Omaha, Nebraska.
Ground Zero Comics and Games, is it still there?
I'm not sure if they are still there. I'd like to think they are, but it was a great store. If they are still there, enjoy the plug.
Yeah.
I'm
Free
more than
advertising.
I am more than happy to help advertise. Jerry, if you're still around and watching, been a long road, man. And that's where I discovered Shadowrun, and I probably played Shadowrun for like 8 or 9 years. As it was going into third edition, I started emailing the line developer, Mike Mulvihill,
Mm-hmm.
and emailing him, and eventually he asked me to join the playtest team on a couple of books.
Nice.
And then I started submitting ideas and pitches, and he said, hey, can you develop this a little bit and write this out for me and give me a couple of 1,000 words on this? I said, sure. And all of a sudden
You got started.
and all of a sudden I was published. So I mean, how long did what all did you have to do to wear Jim down to, because I mean, I know I only say that because I know he's got a huge list and a huge backlog. So, so tell me about that.
Yeah, it did take some time, because again, like you said, he has a lot of work to go through. But it's the story of Ghost in the Machine was adapted from the first story, the first episode I did with my group in the campaign, and I really liked it. But I don't really write my ideas down like in, I guess, playable format for other people. So I thought I would like to eventually start sharing things with others. So it was kind of a practice run for me to see if I could format it in a way that I could share maybe on continuing missions with all the content they have on there. So I was attempting to write for that. And I sent the idea to Jim, just in case, because I thought, well, let me see if I could get it to him first. If they want it for an official product, then that'll be great. If not, I'll ask Michael if he wants to put it up on continuing mission, and maybe I could get it out to the public there.
Yeah.
So I sent to him. He said he liked the idea, um, and he would get back to me. And I didn't hear back from him for a long time.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I just kept on writing and
That's always
practicing.
that's always kind of nerve wracking.
Right. So
I'll
I
get back
thought,
to you.
yeah,
2
nothing happened.
years later.
Literally, it took 2 years. So when not the reply from him, mind you, but I
Yeah.
was thinking, like, does that mean that is that his way of saying, like, no, don't do it? But I'm like, I know he's busy. Let me just keep writing, just so I have something done. And if I stop now, I would lose track of what I was doing. So I didn't hear from him for a little bit. So I decided, well, I'll send a reminder, and I finished by that point. So I just attached the whole thing and sent it to him, and just asked, like, are you still interested in this story? I just took the time to finish laying it out. And he got back and he said, like, usually he doesn't get completed products sent in on time. He said, like, well, since it's done, here's some ideas to change around. Work this in, and I'll send you like the formatting guides and all this kind of stuff. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So I was adapting to the Modifius format style and doing everything that, and so then some back and forth in that. But then from the time it's submitted to the time where Paramount approves it, and then it goes into the
Yeah.
rotation to be released. All in all, it took about 2 years from start to finish.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the quickest process, but
Yeah, but it was
as
exciting. It was so cool.
as the saying goes, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But that's great. No, I was real happy to see that. It's like, okay, great, one of us, one of us. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for, like, you and so many others have been so supportive and encouraging during all this stuff. So it's really a positive community, what we have in Star Trek Adventures on Facebook, on Reddit, on even the Discord group.
Yeah.
Despite the name being Discord, it's actually a pretty harmonious community we have all across the board.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No, you're very welcome. Uh so that's a movie era.
Yes, it was originally a TNG era story, but one of Jim's suggestions was to change it to the movie era. Um, simply, well, for one of the main reasons being that there's not so much content for that era, and he would like to have a little more variety in the missions. And there was nothing in the story itself that would prevent it from being in the movie era. And I love the movie era, so I thought, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, well, that's great. Uh what is your I mean with the vast array of what was your entry point?
My entry point, what really got me into it. Okay, how am I going to answer this? Okay, before I actually watched an episode of Star Trek on my own, I bought a Borg action figure because I saw it in the store, and I know what Star Trek is. I know what Star Trek is, and, like, I don't watch it, but I knew what it was, like TNG at the time. Uh, but I never seen anything like the Borg on Star Trek. And I was just walking by a store, and I saw, like, just the generic Borg action figures, like
Yeah.
Playmates toys back in the day. And I bought it. I thought, like, this is pretty cool. And like, I liked the design of it. I thought it was really weird. And then I found the Locutus figure. I bought that, and I was just thinking to myself, I love it, but why does this character look so much like the captain of that show too? It's like, could they not find someone else there? Like, it looks like they just put some robot parts on the captain. And so I just had those in my house for a while. And one day I remember I was just home. I was sick, And now this happens frequently in my life. I will get a surge of inspiration to do something with like zero background, and I got this just unstoppable urge to watch Star Trek. And I put on Deep Space Nine. It was like one of the current episodes. It was in season 2 of Deep Space Nine, like early season 2.
Yeah.
I had no idea what Deep Space Nine even is. Like I didn't even hear of Deep Space Nine. I knew about Next Generation. I knew there were other Treks, but I didn't really know. Put on whatever the latest episode Deep Space Nine was, early second season. I just watched it and I was in love with everything I saw, and I started watching every single thing that came on from Star Trek from that point forward.
So
So,
which one's your which show is your favorite?
oh, that's a hard one. It's
It
very
is.
hard to say. It's extremely hard to say. I think Deep Space Nine is like the best Star Trek series out there, by far. But I think my favorite is Voyager. And while I love all the series, I love like so many characters from every single series. I have to say Voyager is my favorite, for a somewhat outside of plot reason. When probably just after Voyager season 1 aired, or maybe in between, when they were on maybe hiatus, but some of season 1 was out.
Yeah.
I was in I recorded every episode as it aired, and I had it on VHS. I was in a pretty bad car accident, and like I broke my back in 2 places. I
Oh,
broke
good
my
lord.
arm. Like everything inside me was like all smashed up, and I was basically homebound for 6 months in recovery, and I couldn't sleep at all because of the medications. And it's winter in Pennsylvania, uh, and I can't sleep. My house is like 100 years old, so it's freezing cold at night, and it's just me sitting downstairs and just putting in my VHS tapes of Voyager and rewatching them. And I just imagined the cold of the house was the cold of being in space on the starship, and I just had to get used to it. I put my frozen dinners in the replicator, and I would sit there all night, and Voyager helped me recover. I felt like I was serving on the ship. I'm part of the crew. I'm in too bad of a condition to be on the bridge currently, but they were taking care of me. So it holds a very, very special place in my heart. It helped
Well,
me through some bad stuff.
that's great. I don't have anything dramatic as that.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, tell your story, why don't you?
I got into Trek because of, through my dad. Uh, I was born a few months before TOS started. About the time TOS started, my father was an officer in the Air Force. He was sent to Vietnam. But my earliest memories, are with my dad are related to Star Trek. He had a model of the Enterprise hanging in his study. Uh, I remember that when I was 3 or 4. When they went into syndicated reruns before my folks split up. We would sit and watch those. My earliest memory is trying to remember if it was Balance of Terror or Arena.
Those are some big ones, though.
Yeah.
Those are some epic episodes.
But those, it's like those are my, first memories of Trek, or the
Yeah.
Romulans of the Gorn. I mean, for me, it was my dad, but I was 4.
Mm. So you didn't really understand the plot, but you appreciated the experience.
I appreciate it. It's something Dad loved, and I loved the Enterprise, and he
Yeah.
had, like I said, he had one hanging in his study for years. It did there's I can't remember, it was sometime after he retired. I don't think it survived a move.
That's too bad.
But I mean, he had that for, like I say, for as long as I remember, for years. And I remember the animated series when it came out, but the thing that really turned me from just being some guy who liked to watch Star Trek and was my 10th birthday. My dad's, he wasn't able to make it that year. By that point, my folks had been split up for like 5 years, and he had just retired from the Air Force, and he was in a master's program, and he wasn't able to get away because of thesis work, as I recall. But he sent me the Franz Joseph blueprints and the Franz Joseph technical manual.
Whoa!
For my birthday.
What a gift!
And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm hopelessly lost now.
Yeah,
it's all over. That's the fandom at that point.
Wow,
so,
that is awesome.
So,
yeah, you made the right choice for the gift there.
It was fabulous. It was absolutely one of the coolest things I had ever gotten for my birthday, and the originals got lost were lost in a fire when I was in my 20s, but I lost my original D&D books there too. It was like it was one of the only reason some of the things survived because it was an electrical fire. It started in one wall in my apartment bedroom, and me and my roommate happened to be home. But we weren't in our rooms. We were front watching. God, I want to say we were watching Aliens or something like some genre thing, because we're between Star Trek and Shadowrun, you get aliens, aliens or Predator or something like that. I can't remember exactly what we were watching. It was some genre thing. We smelled smoke. But
oh my God, that's scary.
Not everything was, but we grabbed the wall was we saw the flames, and it's like we both had fire extinguishers because we were both veterans. It's like we're used to fire extinguishers around, so we got it mostly out ourselves, and the alarm had gone off, and somebody else who's there watching a movie with us, his girlfriend at the time, called the fire department. They got there. It wasn't a huge disaster. It could have been a lot worse, as it turns out, but it was bad enough, But I have since replaced many things several times. So, but like I say, from the time I was, as long as I can remember, I've enjoyed Star Trek. I really kind of became a fan when I turned 10.
Those books, yeah, they're life-changing. Those are quite the books to get started with,
Yeah.
I'm kind of the opposite, where my very first memory of Trek is my father watching it, and I would never be able to point out which TOS episode it was. I just remember looking at the TV, seeing Spock standing on the bridge, and asking my dad to let me play video games, and he was watching Star Trek. And I think that's why I didn't like it for a long time, because it was just, in my mind, it's this old TV show that's preventing me from playing video games. So I think that's why I avoided it. And then my father wasn't interested in Next Generation because he was like pure TOS. So that might be also why I started with Next Generation, just as revenge against his preventing my gaming back when I was very young.
Yeah, that'll do it sometimes. So what was your first foray into Trek role playing? Was it STA, or did you play one of the older incarnations?
I picked up the Last Unicorn Games book, like probably within the first couple days it was released. I never knew about FASA. I never got into that. And again, I was more a TNG era person anyhow.
Yeah.
So when that Last Unicorn book came out, bought that. I was so excited. I hurried up. I tried to read the book as fast as possible, but I wasn't really thrilled with the rules for that. And I remember reading it and thinking, like it looks like Star Trek, and I was excited, but something felt lacking for me. And I got my friends and we rolled up characters and I was trying to get the story, but nobody was really that interested in it. And I mean, these were like my Star Trek fans or my Star Trek friends.
Yeah.
And like even like going through the character creation process, I think they felt something was off too. And like we got everything ready to play and it just never happened. I bought like another source book for it when it came out, the Price of Freedom, the
Yeah.
Federation guide, uh mostly because I wanted to get the sovereign class stats, and that was in that book. And again, reading through these books constantly, but I could just not get everyone energized enough to play it. By that point, like we're starting to move apart. I checked out the Decipher books. Again, more of a reading exercise than
Yeah.
actually gaming. And again, it was the same thing. Like it looks like Trek. There's some good ideas here, but something doesn't feel right. Something
Yeah.
doesn't feel like it's capturing the spirit for me. And that's why I think Star Trek Adventures became my first actual Star Trek game I played. And because the when I read the books, like even just reading the rules, it felt like Star Trek. It felt like it covered what I thought was lacking. It's not that you can't have fun. I don't think anyone can have fun with those other systems,
Yeah.
but I think what made Star Trek Adventures stand out to me is it was replicating the feel of the TV show.
Yeah.
Your games are designed like an episode. So and your characters are good at everything
Yeah.
because Starfleet
That's
officers are good. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's the first one that's like this is Star Trek. This is and then I got yeah, I went from PDF and suddenly straight to board
Just
cube.
taking the trash out.
Hey, hello. It's good to have other crew members on your ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually my yeoman hasn't popped in yet because that happens far more often than you will ever see on YouTube with all the edits.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know what possessed me to do a whole bunch of live, but well, I do know part of what part of it was I had a couple of weeks ago. I tried I tried to do part of my Captain's Log game
Mm.
live.
Oh, I think I remember you doing the
And
follow-up video about that.
and that did not work for me. Some I envy beyond words the guys who can go live by
Oh, yeah.
themselves
Yeah.
for hours and hours and just do it. I am not one of those guys.
Yeah, I don't have that skill either.
I am not that guy. I am discovering. I did that. I did the stream the other night with Cody. Where we were talking about rules and getting into things. I work much better with I need someone to bounce off of.
Yeah.
I absolutely positively have to have somebody to bounce off of. So I mean it was a painful experience. I learned something, which was always good.
Yeah, I mean, even failure is a good teacher. So you learn where your
Yeah.
strengths are and
You live
where
and
you
learn,
should
or you don't
focus.
live
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
So what prompted your channel? What prompted you to get into this craziness that is YouTube?
Yeah, that's also weird. Like I'm still asking myself, why did I do this? But I just, I tried to do. Welcome back. Welcome back. You're free to join us anytime. Don't worry. Always like having guests. No, with the YouTube channel, no, I actually tried doing, like, because of the pandemic, there was a lot of downtime and just a lot of chance to just explore other creative
Yeah.
avenues. And I tried just doing a channel with a friend about Lovecraft stuff, like cosmic horror, things like that.
Yeah.
Not for anything serious, but just to give us something to do. Because my friend was also having a pretty rough time during the whole pandemic, and I thought this would be a good chance to help him take his mind off of things and maybe get us to focus. And I was learning a lot about using OBS, uploading. That channel is chock full of errors, glitches, mistakes. Everything that could go wrong happened in every single episode of that
If I
channel.
if I may quote Admiral Kirk, we learn by doing.
We learn by doing, and I did learn, and I did fail. That channel did not last long because of multiple issues, but we started getting into the Star Trek game, like playing that, and like I was just so into Star Trek again, thanks to Star Trek Adventures. And I thought, I learned so much how to use all that software with that last channel, like before all that knowledge disappears from my brain forever. I asked one of the other guys who I play with, the STA game, said, "You want to do a Star Trek channel? Like, I really want to do something, just put something out there, find a way to meet other people who play this game or just love Star Trek." It was really just a way for us to express our love of Star Trek and try to meet other Trekkies. That was basically the start of it. And here we are.
And here we are. Yeah. Um. So if you're doing Lovecraft stuff, have you looked at? Have you done anything with Actung or Cohorts Cthulhu?
No, not yet. But one of my players definitely wants to. He's interested in the Octung Cthulhu, and my no, who was it? No, it was I was talking with Al Spader recently. I had another talk with him, just like you did. Like, I think it was
Yeah.
same day you interviewed him, we recorded something.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so that would be good. Yeah, so he was booked that day. So that'll be going up maybe next week on the channel, if I'm done with the editing. But he was talking about Octung Cthulhu also. And so it's kind of pushing me that way. We usually just play the vanilla Call of Cthulhu by Chaosium.
Yeah. Well,
As
it's
our
a
main
good
one.
solid game. It's been
It
been
is,
going
yeah.
for 30 years, so it's
Oh yeah, I think 40 years now.
has it.
Yeah.
I lose
I
track. I mean,
I
that
think it
is
came
not.
out in '80. Yeah,
Oh wow, because
yeah,
that's not really my jam. I mean,
yeah,
you got to be in a certain frame of mind
yeah, yeah.
to
It's a different style.
play with the mythos and
Yeah, and your mind gets altered by the end of the game anyhow. So it's like
yeah.
you don't even know what state you'll be in when it's finished.
Great. So, uh, I had plans, but I'm ADHD, so I occasionally lose focus.
That's fine. Half of my videos start with me getting about 3-4 minutes into it and then stopping, staring at camera, like, I'm doing that again. And then like I have all these mini clips. Every episode you see on YouTube, there's probably about 4 or 5 different files of that episode started before the one gets uploaded, because I lose what I'm doing halfway
Yeah,
through.
I
Like,
will.
I don't know where I'm going. Yeah.
I will when I shoot recorded stuff. Excuse me. When I do recorded stuff, I there is a long editing process
Yeah.
because I'll sit there going, okay, I hem and hawed here. I
Yeah.
you see some of that when I go live, but when like say when I'm live, I've got usually got somebody else to bounce off of, so it's not that bad. When I'm just recording something solo, oh my god, He's like, well, why do your videos look so janky? It's because I'm looking one direction and then I'm editing out 3 minutes
Yeah,
of
yeah.
of extraneous BS, and I'm in a completely different position
You just
when
keep
I find
teleporting around the screen.
so I'm as we go. So uh you and I think, had very similar reactions to this book.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a
Uh,
beauty.
yeah. Oh, I was very impressed with that. Like I
I
say,
was surprised. I did not see this book coming at all.
I mean, I kind of knew it was coming. I didn't know
Mhm.
what was in it. I just knew that
I was taken by it.
I just
Yeah.
knew that I was talking with Al about something. Yeah, I'm in the middle of a project right now, and as it turned
Yeah,
out, the project he was in the middle of
was
was
that.
this.
Yeah, he
Uh,
mentioned the product and project, and I'm like, "Oh, cool, another book from him." But like, this is so different. This adds such a different layer to the
yeah, this is.
game.
I
Like,
was.
it's yeah, what a product.
Yeah, I have. You did a much more. One of the reasons I haven't done a review is I'm not done with it. It's like I just.
Right. It's
It,
massive.
it's a big thing. I've got all sorts of things going on. I have gotten through most of the character stuff,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and some of the fun things to do with existing gear, but
Mhm.
uh, I haven't really done anything else.
Yeah, I like that it's I mean, aside from just having I mean, half the book is really a campaign itself that you could run
Yeah,
or adapt, and having I mean, the star is the tactical overlay, but it's still outside that, it's a toolbox of all these optional rules that you could just pick and choose and plug into your games for, whatever works best, like increasing the level of crunch that you want in
yeah.
your STA game. It's
I
really
love
amazing.
that. I love that bit. Al started showing some of the optional rules, and some of these. He was saying, yeah, some folks are planning on doing these just as part of their normal
Yeah, yeah,
part of their normal game. It's like, okay, cool. I'll have to look at those a little closer when I.
there's a couple parts in there. I told Al also that I think going forward, this is going to be the standard in my games of how to do, like, for example, the power management during battle. I
Yeah,
really loved what they did in this book. So I think, yeah, that we're going to, not that the other one was the original rules is bad, but like Al said, uh, you don't really have a lot to do as the engineer in those situations with the power levels and that until like damage and power things start
yeah,
becoming an issue. This makes it something that the engineer or ops has to keep their eye on from the start. So I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
yeah. I'm always looking for things to keep players engaged.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, especially with some of the rules, you get when they're going to be involved. Some of
Mhm.
them are always involved. Your
Mm.
helmsman is always pretty much always involved.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
doctors and engineers sometimes have
That yeah, that can be tricky. That can be tricky to especially yeah, the one and I think that might be why the sciences division supplement is one of my most referenced is because I'm always trying to think what can I have the doctor do in this situation that makes sense and is not going to make them feel like they're just picking up someone else's slack.
yeah,
So I want them to feel like every aspect there is a critical reason for their department to be active. So it's not easy. It's not easy for some of them, but it's important to have as many options as you can to make everyone
yes,
feel
yes.
like they're important.
Well, let's make a little bit of a segue because we both have also discussed. I can do this. I am more powerful than my machine.
Yeah,
I
it's
am going to win.
I'm neck and neck in power level with my machine this morning. It's edging me out on on like outsmarting me. Oh, and look at that. Yep. We know what that
not
is.
is that not one of the most beautiful covers you've ever seen?
I love it. I love it. It is I mean, I don't want to take anything away from first edition, but the standard edition cover for first edition, I liked it, but it was just a little too pedestrian for me. It's like it didn't really
Yeah,
pop. It's the art is good. It's nothing wrong with it, but I preferred the collector's edition with the close up on the Enterprise D. I
yeah,
thought that's a little more like exciting and captivating for me. But this piece of art, just the whole Strange New Worlds motif. I mean, it's just a great color scheme. It's great framing, and you get to see so many eras represented all
yeah. It's like,
together.
you can
It's
look at this
yeah,
and it's like there's 1,000 years of
right?
in story history just
Right?
represented in the uniforms.
Like looking at that, like you look at the original book and it's like, oh, okay, this is a TNG adventure. And like basically at the time when it was released, that was the era that
Yeah,
it was. You can adapt, of course, any role-playing game and especially STA to anything. But this, you look at the cover and instantly you see this is the franchise right here. Whatever
yeah,
you want to play, it's right here on this cover.
yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's one reason I like is because it's clearly representing, like I said, 1,000 years.
Yeah.
You've got the Enterprise jumpsuit from the 22nd all the way up to a Discovery uniform from the 32nd.
Yeah. That is impressive.
Yeah,
And I forget somebody I think commented on the video I did talking about the announcement. They were pointing out the missing costumes from there. It's like yeah, well they
there's
can't
only
have
so much
everything.
room.
Yeah, can't have everything, but I do miss the DS9 First Contact uniforms as well. But at the same time, they're in there. They're just not on the cover.
Yeah, that it would have been great. But I mean, you get to a point where it'd be too busy.
Yeah.
So, what are you
That
looking forward to
yeah.
most with
Mm.
so what do
With
you what?
so second edition as a whole, I think what I'm looking forward to the most is which of the rules that trip up my players gets streamlined in a way that is satisfying to both me and my players, so I could switch over to that version. But I think with second edition, since it's going to be uh, so compatible with what's already out there, it's not like you have to jump over and play one or the other.
Yeah,
I'm just going to be treating it like a regular toolbox, reading through, finding which of the ideas I like, and incorporating them into what I already have. And like I know they're streamlining a lot of the more complicated task resolution mechanics, some of the combat mechanics. So
yeah,
if there's a way that makes them snappier, makes them faster, that allows me to continue doing what I'm doing, but in a way that keeps things flowing better,
yeah,
yeah, I'm definitely going to take those. So I'm really interested to see all the details of the mechanics changes.
yeah. I think my big thing, just from the initial press release until we start getting more information, the thing I'm looking forward to right now as we speak
Mm.
is the fact that it's not necessarily Starfleet
Oh
focused.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That it is, that it is a much wider uh, canvas that we're going to be able to start with.
mm.
I think the thing that the first game the first campaign I tried to run we had people wanting to be, for the most part, they wanted to be Starfleet. We had a couple who said, "Yeah, I want to be like this diplomatic attaché,"
That's good.
which is cool as a concept, but you just had to, you had to kind of hand wave things.
Yeah, had to
And
improvise a bit.
fortunately, we had, there's a little bit of guidance in command division about something like that. Especially like the attaché role. But it's like you did have to do a lot of you did have to do some hand waving and shoehorning and things like
Yeah.
that. And so I'm looking forward to a wider variety of roles and things of that nature. And I like the fact that we're getting more species.
Oh yeah.
I mean, from the, you can look at the press release and it's like, okay, you can Starfleet officers to Klingon warriors to Romulan agents and Cardassian soldiers. So you can safely, I think we can safely assume that those three.
Sounds like it.
I think we can safely
Yeah,
assume
yeah.
that
Yeah.
we'll know soon enough, I suppose. But
Yeah, you're not going to be restricted to Starfleet.
I think not being restricted to Starfleet and having more, because what I wanted to do when I started my the first campaign that I was putting together, what I wanted to do was Enterprise.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the core book virtually ignored it.
For the most part, yeah.
It was, at least part of it was just an accident of not having enough page count, having to dedicate page count to other things, because I wrote the 23rd century section in the core book.
So yeah.
And
you know how much the page count was.
I wanted to do the 22nd century too, but Sam, bless her heart, we couldn't make it work. As much as we want to, we couldn't make it work. And the NX wasn't in there as a space frame. We had to wait until the command source book came out to get the NX space frame. And I just felt like, you can work any era of Starfleet with this, but it was obvious just because, and I can't blame them for doing some of the things that way, because at that point of the series that were out there, we had 5 series. 3 of them were the 24th century.
Yeah.
You had 21 years worth of 24th century series, excuse me, and 4 movies in that era. And even with with the animated series thrown in between the 23rd and the 22nd, you had the movies, and you had 8 seasons.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know why, and I understand why, even especially from a business point of view, why you want to, why you do that. But I like the fact that there seemed to be some learning over the past however many years. Let's see, they started developing in 16, released in 17. So I mean, we've learned over those 7-8 years. Okay, maybe we should have focused on this, but it's one of those things. They did it this way, and I can't fault them for it. I understand. I'd probably made some of the same decisions, hard as it would be for my poor original series soul.
Yeah.
I probably would have made some of the same choices. But it did feel limiting to me that, clearly it was a very, TNG oriented game. But fortunately, the mechanics did not rely on the era.
Yeah.
But most of what we had pointed to the 24th century. So I'm glad that you can just tell from the cover image that we just showed that
It's
we're
going to
going
be
to
encompassing.
it's going to be much more open, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
And that is what is there's going to be more support for everything going in from the start. And we finally got the licenses for Strange New Worlds and
Yeah,
Prodigy.
that's good.
This is so we've got the entirety, with the exception of the Kelvin films, and that's an entire can of worms that we can have another entire
Yeah.
discussion about some other time. We got the entirety of Star Trek within one game.
Yep.
As of this moment in time, and with shows in constant production, that's going to change because we've got at least one more series. We got Starfleet Academy coming out
Yeah.
in probably in 25. I think they're I
Yeah,
think
I
they're
think
I think
it's
I think
next
they're
year
writing
they were
right.
aiming.
I think they're writing right now and getting ready to ramp up production. They haven't made any cast announcements. They might
Mhm.
do that on First Contact Day. But we've got the Section 31 movie coming out. So I
Mhm.
mean, we won't have everything. But
No, not but up to this point, as you said,
yeah,
it's the first time the game is actually caught up to what's out there for
which
the
is
most part.
which is which is also a very promising thing to me because you've got so many different approaches
Mm.
to Star Trek within all those shows. Because DS9 looks and feels different than Strange New Worlds, looks and
Yeah.
feels different than Voyager, looks and feels different than Lower Decks.
Everything has its own atmosphere to it. It has its own mood. There's so many episodes that if they were to air in a different series, it would be a completely different monster than what we got in the
Yeah,
series it is, because the way that issues are resolved, the way characters handle things, just how they're written, I don't think too many episodes would play out the same way from one show to another.
yeah, I don't think so either. Uh, but I mean, I like that range and diversity that we're seeing in that cover. So
Yeah,
that, I mean, that's my big thing right now. The thing that I'm really
yeah.
looking forward to, the thing that I'm really salivating about is just that range. The fact that we don't have to do one particular thing and wait for a supplement
Yeah,
to do something
that
else.
that was the thing with first edition. I mean, like you said, the core book started focused on the whole TNG era, which arguably at the time was the most popular. Probably had the bigger chance of bringing a larger player base to start
Yeah,
with, but they're also lacking in the individual licenses that they need for the different shows. So it was a smart choice to start with that. But then as the line went on with like player's guide and game master's guide, especially adding in so many new options,
oh yeah,
Utopia Planitia, really streamlining and fixing up how starships are designed so it's more uniform across the board. They learned a lot over the last 7 years of releases,
yeah.
and I think this book, and again, you've seen on the social media the people who are worried about it, and they have a little more negative view of what this book might mean. But I mean, to me, it seems like the best way to consolidate what they've learned and create a brand new jumping on point for new players coming into the game instead
Yeah.
of having one track down all these old source books that some of them you can't find in physical stores anymore unless you live in very, very certain areas that they're still stocking it. It makes so much sense to
Yeah.
have it all together, brand new jumping on point, and makes it easier to grow the fan base. So I'm 100% for it. Like all the stuff that's in there, basically, I mean, aside from like the rules changes, the new stuff that they're streamlining into it, like all that content in there is kind of spread over the 7 years of releases
Yeah.
of STA. So if you've been playing for a while, you're kind of piecemealing all the stuff that's there, but that would be 7 years worth of books. It's kind of unfair to
Yeah.
ask a new player to buy into. So I think it's a smart choice. I think it's a good choice. And even for old players like us who have been around for a while playing the game, it's not a bad idea to grab that book so you're referencing one tome instead of a whole shelf
6.
full
Yeah.
of books. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I like it.
absolutely. So
I'm down for it.
I was going to ask you your how you're interpreting some of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that has been
Yeah. 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 Uh no, I think again what my view is of it is we know, especially in the last couple years, especially in the past couple years, there's been some shady and customer unfriendly practices from a lot of role playing companies.
yeah.
There's been a history of cash grabs, questionable decisions, and that from other role playing companies. So I think a lot of players have this trauma of being stung by these other companies in the past. That when they hear an announcement like this, there's like this immediate knee-jerk reaction that, oh, it's happening again, but it's happening to my Star Trek this time. So I think I don't think a lot of the negativity is actually genuinely against. I mean, it's not that it's a big voice either, but the
Yeah,
complaints come the loudest. So I don't
they
think
do.
it's actually against second edition. I think it's the fear that Modifius is going to treat them the way some other companies have been treating role playing game fans in the past. So I think it might just be venting in the hopes that Modifius is hearing this anger and fear and prevent them from doing the things that they're afraid will happen.
Yeah.
But I think once the book is released, honestly, I think once the book is released, people start seeing what's inside it and they see it's not destroying first edition. It's making things easier for new players. It's making things easier to reference for old players. And like everything in the STA line, it's completely optional. Like if you're happy with what you have, you can keep writing what you have. If you want a new book, you could get the new book and add it in. I think those fears are going to die down considerably. Now, of course, there's going to be people who still don't like it because you can't please everyone. But I think this initial negative reaction from that vocal group, I think it's just their worries. But I don't believe they actually feel that it's going to be a bad product or they're going to be completely against it when it's
Yeah.
finally released. You've had to deal with a lot moderating the Facebook group, so I mean you're
Yeah.
probably catching a lot more of these things than I do when I get my chances to skim Facebook every day or so. So what's your take on it?
Largely very much, similar to yours. I'm hoping that most of it's just, a knee jerk type of reaction based on what certain companies in Seattle have been doing.
Yeah, and
Uh,
not just Seattle, not just Seattle. There's a few games I I do like on my shelves, and I have not sensed respect for the customer like I have with Modifius up until this point.
Yeah, that's the thing that has got me. It's like, guys, we have been right here,
Yeah,
talking with you,
yeah, for
face to
years. Yeah,
virtual
yeah,
face
yeah,
for 7.5, 8 years.
yeah.
You know, I've been
There's
I've been
nothing like
working.
that.
I've been working with Modifius on Star Trek Adventures since August of 2016. I had cause to go back and look and see when I got started with them the other day for
Mm.
something else, and it's I'm like, have you? You know, it's like, have we not earned
Right?
a modicum of your trust? Do you really think that we're gonna? You know, we play this game too.
Yeah.
You know, and we've been, you know,
So many
within,
writers started as players.
yeah, within the bounds of our NDAs. I mean, from from a technical standpoint, yes, we've been lying to you. We have an NDA. We can only talk to you about such and such a thing. I've known about, for instance, I've known about Klingon Frontier War for probably a year.
Caught me completely by surprise. I had
So
no idea what it was.
the actual release always catches me by surprise. It's just one day you wake up and there's an announcement. Oh, by the way, we've got this book out for pre-order. It's like, son of a gun. But so yes, there are certain things that we lie to you about because we are contractually obligated not to talk. We're lying by omission.
Yeah.
But when asked about existing product,
yeah,
it's like we have it's like, have we not earned a modicum of slack? Because we, it's like, we sure as hell don't want to invalidate 8 years. There's
right.
I had cause to go and count. If you count Federation Klingon War and you don't count like the map tiles, but I counted 24 distinct titles.
Wow.
Over the past 7 years.
That's a big catalog.
Yeah, we've and that's just the hard copy stuff. That's just that's just the physical books. And it doesn't, I didn't count like each cover of Captain's Log is a separate thing.
Yeah.
Captain's Log is a separate title. You got 3 different covers for Utopia Planitia, but all 3 of those comprise one title.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want to invalidate that. We don't want as writers to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly. I mean, even from a business perspective too, like if you suddenly make a second edition that invalidates first edition, nobody's going to want to buy first edition. You want all your books to still be relevant.
Yeah.
So Modifius still wants you to buy the first edition stuff because there is some good stuff in it. So why would they do anything to shoot themselves in the foot as well as shoot their fans in the foot?
That's my big frustration with all the negativity.
Yeah. It's like they're ignoring what's in front of their face of how they've been treated so well, how we've been treated so well.
And actually, I get it. Let's see, I wrote for Shadowrun for nearly 20 years. and went through just the time that I was writing. I started writing 3rd edition, transitioned to 4th, was part of the team writing when we transitioned to 5th, and I called it a day on the last 5th edition book. And the 5th, I did not make the transition to 6th. But I get it. Because a book like, because with Shadowrun, I don't want anybody to get me wrong. I love Shadowrun. I can't play it much anymore because psychologically it's not very good for me. So it's a very dark game universe, and I just got to a point where I couldn't do it anymore.
Understandable.
But we do a new edition, especially going from 3rd to 4th, where they completely changed the system. So I get it. I understand. I don't want anybody to think for a second that I don't understand why it's happening. But by that same token, like I said, I think we've earned a little bit of slack.
I think Modifius definitely has the respect of people who shop from them. I just think that when an announcement like this comes out, they forget those points and the fears of, like we're talking about, just being mistreated by other companies take over. But I think if most people who have dealt with Modifius would just stop and reflect back, like, oh yeah, I've been talking to them right here on this channel. I've gotten great customer service. I've gotten free PDFs of everything I buy, even if I buy it from a small independent shop in my hometown. Modifius will send me a PDF.
Yeah.
I mean,
nobody else does that.
Nobody. And I'm not going to name names or anything like that with the companies, but another very popular, very large game that I played, I got the book sent to me. It was completely the spine was completely disconnected from the cover. So the book was falling apart when it arrived to me. It just damage and shipping that happens, sending to Japan and everything like that. It was actually sent to the US and forwarded to me in Japan because they wouldn't ship to I just had shipped there to save on shipping costs because I was getting a package. So I sent this company an email. This was a company that for a long time, they were really great at customer service. I had nothing. I was singing their praises for years. But there was a change in the company a year or two before this happened. And so my first time dealing with them after that change, I sent an email saying that, like, I'm sure it was damaged in shipping. I'm sure it wasn't printed like this, but it's clearly falling apart. And they said great. They said great. We'll help you here. Like, give us your information. I gave my Japan address because normally when I shop from them directly, I just have them shipped to Japan. So I thought, well, that'll make it easier than having it ship back to US and have somebody send it to me again. So I gave it to them, and they said, like, the customer service person said that, oh, I'm sorry, we can't ship this to you to Japan. Like, oh, okay, I understand. Like, then you could just ship it to my residence in the US. I'll pick out. And they're like, no, you already requested it for Japan. We're not shipping it to Japan, and you're not going to change this on us. Do not ask us to do this again. And they close communications. Like, what do you mean? Like, you were just ready to help me a second ago, and as soon as I said, like, I'm in wrong address for you. Modifius, on the other hand, I got one of their books shipped directly to me in Japan here, and there was a printing issue on it where, like, I think there was just a blotch of dark ink concealed some of the text on one page. like maybe like just one whole column of text had half of it
Yeah.
darkened out because of the ink. It's still readable if you squint and you try really hard, and it wasn't a major page, but I mentioned that, and they said we're going to send you a new book right away. And like this is, I mean, this has nothing to do with the YouTube channel or anything. This was like before I'm having the channel. It just they wanted me to be satisfied with my purchase. And it wasn't
Modifius,
even, yeah, it wasn't even a huge problem like a book falling apart.
yeah. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Modifius has had consistently, in my experience, probably the best customer service department I've ever worked with in the gaming industry. And like I
They're
said,
amazing.
I've been gaming for 44 years this April. And God, I just said that number out loud and my blood. It's like, my God, what have I done? Hi, whoever's coming in to view the who's coming in to view the chat. Welcome.
Oh, we got a new viewer. Hello.
We have a viewer. Nobody's said anything in the chat yet. I hope they'll say hi. But if they don't, we're glad to have you. Thanks for coming by.
Just relax with us, yeah.
Yeah, but that's been my experience with the negativity over STA. Most of it just has been a few people, a very few people, but they've been ridiculously vocal. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Brian, welcome. Hello. Good morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you happen to be in the world.
As the case may be,
Yeah.
they've just been really loud, and sometimes they get, between me, John, and Gertie, we try to keep everything nice and civil in that Facebook group, and sometimes it can be a monumental pain trying to keep it civil. I mean, I took flack for posting a message saying in all caps, keep it civil.
I know, I saw that. I'm like, how is that the triggering word?
Well, it's because it's all caps, and I was yelling at them. They took it personally, and I was the only admin working, able to get to it that day. John was in meetings all day, and Gertie's schedule didn't allow her to get on at that time. So I'm the only one there.
Yeah. So you want to make sure the message is seen.
I wanted to make sure that it was in no uncertain terms what I wanted to happen, and people took it personally. And it's like, oh, for crying out loud, guys!
Yeah, really. What's wrong with that? Just keep it civil.
But
yeah, I did see that blow up. But I mean, aside from that kind of unreasonable response there, like I just think, like we say, it's a knee-jerk reaction because they're scared of what this might mean. It's the fear of the unknown, since we've been talking about Lovecraft, so they're not sure what it means. And they're scared of that, but I think they're going to be excited for second edition when it hits shelves. I honestly do.
Yeah, I think once more, we're announcing that it exists. Oh my God, the world is coming to an end.
Yeah,
guys, it's they announced that it exists. We don't know that the world is coming to an end. But that's I'm like, guys. guys.
Yeah, put some faith in.
Let's get a couple of actual announcements out before,
right?
We made this announcement. April Hill, who's one of the media managers for Modifius.
Yeah,
and she said, wait till you see what we've got next week. It's like, oh, you monster.
Yeah. Like,
so I mean, there hasn't been anything actually said. Let's get something, let's get where something is actually said before we, before we start panicking.
Basically, all they said was, "Don't worry, this is not going to to make first edition useless or outdated, and the reaction is from, again, that small panicking minority. The reaction is, oh my god, first edition is going to be made useless. It's like the only thing they said is it's not. You're still going to use the books. Like, just relax, don't worry. I'm not worried about it. I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, I'm going to treat it like any other book. I'm going to take the pieces that work well for my group that I like. I'm going to incorporate those, and I'm going to use the rest of it as reference and for ideas to inspire me. And I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw.
Yeah. I have actual, little doubt, Brian, that there will be angst when the character sheet drops. But let's, I just would like them to calm down, because it's like, nice.
Just
faith.
Put trust in the system. Like we said, Modifius hasn't let us down yet. We might not love every single product they put out, but the quality is undeniably there. The care is undeniably there. So you might not personally like something in it, but they aren't doing anything devious, trying to pull one over the customers so they can make a profit. That has not been their MO for the last few years. So I'm not scared in that way. And like I said, if you like the changes that second edition makes and you think, oh yeah, I want to run everything in this fashion, then yeah, the option's for you. But at the same time, if you're like, no, I like how things are going now with first edition, it's still going to work. You're not going to lose anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all.
I'm not either. I'm just like I say, my frustration mostly comes from the fact that I'm
you have to put up with it.
I have to put up with it.
I get to keep scrolling when I see that. I read it like, well, okay. But you have to check every single message.
Freaking message, every free. Most of the time, it's easy.
Yeah.
And then you get a big announcement, and it's like, oh, for crying out loud, here we go.
And I mean, same thing with the Federation Klingon book too. The fact that it's a discovery campaign, and we lived through the days of the first discovery campaign guide getting released. So once that announcement came, I kind of tensed up. I'm like, oh, here it comes. Here comes wave 2 of the people who are going to ignore the fact that it's not a discovery book. It's a Star Trek Adventures book.
Yeah, this goes on 10 pages,
Yeah. It is not Star Trek Discovery. It's in the era with the war that was shown in Discovery. But, like, have you not read any other Star Trek Adventures book from Odysseus? Like, the Lower Decks book is not about the Lower Decks TV show. It's in there, but it's about the whole concept and everything that's introduced through the TV show that can fit into anything. Like, don't just look at the series that's on. And we were talking about the original core rulebook. TNG is all over it. It's only TNG, but you can run anything with it. It's an Elcar's book, but you could still run. It took some tweaking, but you could still run Enterprise. You could still run. Discovery at that time wasn't even out really when it was released, but you can run anything. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
Oh. So I don't envy your position there, especially with how tumultuous the Star Trek fandom has been in the past few years. People just really finding it hard.
Some of the shows have been polarizing.
A couple of them, yeah. I think I heard somebody mention that somewhere, but yeah, and then you have a book that has one of those shows' names printed on it, and it's like, no, relax. It's I don't know. I don't know. I think,
Yeah.
and I've admitted this myself. Like when the first Discovery Campaign book came out, I didn't buy it, and that was the first STA book I didn't buy because of the same thing. I thought I don't need a Discovery Campaign because I'm not interested in Discovery at all.
Yeah.
And I only watched season one by that point, and I never got back to it. And all the things I was hearing um, kind of dissuaded me from even wanting to come back to it because, like, oh, that doesn't sound like it's getting anywhere
Yeah.
near what I would. So I just kept pushing it off. And then when they announced the book, I said, yeah, this is probably going to be the only STA book I don't buy. But when I watched Continuing Conversations, and they did a couple episodes on it, and they were breaking it down, listening to them talk about what's actually in the book, I
Yeah.
started to realize, oh, hang on, this sounds really good. Let me check this out. Read it, felt like an idiot that I didn't jump in on it. And like, of course, it's not Star Trek Discovery, it's Star Trek Adventures. It's just using the Discovery material for
Yeah.
the source book. And
Yeah.
I love it. I love that book. It's still probably one of my top three resources or source books for the entire line. I thought it was so well written, such great ideas and great content thrown
Yeah.
in there. So I felt dumb, and I do my best on my channel to try to stop people from making that same mistake that I did, so they could
Yeah.
go in with an open mind.
It's taken me time. I am still not necessarily a huge Discovery fan, but I have grown
Yeah,
to appreciate it a lot more once I finally gave it a chance.
yeah, same,
And
exactly.
that was, that was the big trick. But my Captain's Log game is 32nd century.
Yeah, I'm interested in that setting, and I'm
Uh,
looking forward to more.
I'm curious to see what's going on. Uh, oh my gosh, we've been here a while, Bill. What's your favorite ship?
Oh, look at that. Favorite ship? Favorite
Yeah.
ship? Oh, that's a very,
If,
very
if,
nice question.
yeah,
Yeah,
there
favorite
one
ship.
in particular that
Well, are we talking about like hero ships, like the stars of the show, or anything in the
oh no,
line?
and anything. If it can be the hero ship, it can be one. It
All right.
can be a
I
support ship if you want.
if it's anything of the line, I've always been my top two. I've been in love with you can see right behind me the Nova class.
Yeah,
I love that little Nova class. It has the design aesthetic that I love from the Sovereign, but it squishes it into a Voyager-esque size, even
yeah,
smaller than that. So I love the intimate size of it, but the visual design just pops. Second is the Akira. The Akira class
yeah,
is super cool. And I was actually kind of angry when Star Trek Enterprise came out and the NX looked like an inverted Akira. And like, they didn't have ships that cool back then. Don't even try telling me that. So, but no, I really like the Akira, and I've gone over my anger for the NX class. I do love that now. But
yeah.
Nova and Akira, how about yourself? And in the
Oh,
chat too, I'd like to hear
oh
what
yeah.
everyone watching wants to say.
And anyone, we welcome the new viewers.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want to chime in on this question, it's open. Uh, I have obviously I've had a lifelong love affair with the Constitution.
Oh yeah.
I think I like the original, but the man the refit from the movies was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, yeah.
That was one of the most beautiful things on the screen. A friend of mine noticed it does not have a bad angle.
I love, yeah, the movie Constitution is great. Oh,
Uh,
we got some hellos in there. Hello,
oh,
hello,
hello,
hello.
hello.
I see that popping out. Oh, Voyager. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Old School Online says Voyager. Definitely. I love the Voyager. And I don't know if you heard earlier in the episode. Yeah, Voyager is my series. That is my favorite beloved series. Although I love them all. Voyager is my series. So yeah, gotta go with the Voyager. Good choice.
Yeah. But as years have gone by, I have grown to appreciate. I've grown to appreciate the Intrepid. But I and this could just be because it's the new kid on the block, but the Neo Connie, the
yeah,
the from Picard season 3, the new
yeah,
Titan, that I was like, oh my god, that is gorgeous.
yeah. I liked it. I
That
liked
that
it. I like
is
modernizing the Constitution image. I thought that
yeah.
was cool. Yeah.
I liked because it had it had the the late 24th century aesthetics.
Mm.
The nacelles were clearly 21st century. The structures, but the design aesthetic was like, okay, this is appealing to both of my
Right? It's not the streamlined edges. It has its shape. It's blockier, and I like that. Oh, Galaxy Class or the
gas
Ross
or the
Class by
Ross. Yeah,
Cornelius Porson. Yeah, the of course Galaxy Class. I think through like TNG fatigue back in the day when it was on TV, I started getting weary of it. So I was really excited with the Sovereign Class when that came out in First Contact. But seeing the Galaxy again in action in Picard made me remember how much I loved it. And what did Brian say?
uh,
Saber class,
yeah.
Saber class,
Brian's
yeah,
saber class is
another warrior there fighting there. Saber class, yeah, those first contact ships, those movie ships were really cool, and that was why we talked earlier about the last Unicorn games, Star Trek, that first Federation source book, The Price of Freedom. The reason why I wanted that so bad was for the ships. Like they had all those
yeah.
first contact ships in there. So that was. I'm missing the chat now. I'm talking too much. Oh yeah, I would like to see observation deck on Ross.
That would be great. That would be very cool.
Yeah, yeah. It would be nice if it could appear in like some upcoming series, whatever comes out. Like we get to see the interior of Ross class and any of those kind of Star Trek Online ships that are slowly being brought into canon. Yeah. I see that
Yeah.
CGI. Yeah, sleeker, simpler ships that had to be modeled by hand. Definitely. Yeah, CGI definitely make it opens a whole new door for the kind of ships you could put on screen. Like, and I also, what do you think? How do you feel about like the detached nacelles in the 32nd century? Because again,
I'm
I
like,
mean, I'm not trying to start a fight here with Discovery.
I'm not. I'm ready. I'm. It's like you can do some really cool things, with how things look as you're flying around and having these space battles. How the hell do they work?
Yeah.
That's
You know,
that's what I don't get. How the heck do they work? But it's centuries down the line, maybe they've come up with some weird weird way of power transmission to the nacelles, and we just don't see it. I don't know how it works. It's
yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm a,
it could be like the what is it, like the contact charging that we have on phones now, where you just lie the phone down on the pad and that charges. This, it could be more of like a field that whatever is holding it together. But I think like because of like the what they call programmable matter or whatever,
yeah.
like it can connect to the ship, transfer the power it needs, and then just maintain flight when they're going. I don't know. It's well, there you go. Look at that. We got Electromagnetic fields with subspace anchors, of course. Patrick,
Yeah.
how did you? How did we not think of
Yeah,
that?
what was I thinking? Yeah,
Yeah,
what the heck was going through my mind? But
duh, of course, yeah.
I mean, but when you get right down to it, I can't really say a whole lot bad about detached nacelles because of
Your ship.
my ship. Yeah. Now that you mention it, because
Yeah.
of my ship,
Yeah, there it is. There it
you
is.
know, it's like
And see, it works.
I play a friendship class, and yeah, I don't know if anybody ever caught this. This is my ship, the USS Seneschal. That registry number.
Mm.
That's my tribute to Dad. That's Dad's
Ah,
birthday.
there you go. There you go.
That's Dad's birthday right there.
Well, look at that. What a way of honoring the man who basically kicked this all off and led you to where you are today.
Absolutely. I mean, I had to find some way, and that it's like, oh wait, they've got 6-digit registries that start in that basic
Old
data
school online
range.
says somebody forgot the bridge. Yeah, I think like you
Uh,
left space
okay.
dock and like, are we missing something?
Well, here's the deal.
Yeah,
Let me bring this
yeah.
down a little bit, because these right here, in some
Hmm.
shots of this ship, I don't know if you can actually see the cursor
Yeah, yeah, I
moving,
see it. I see it.
but these right here, on some of the shots you see, those glow red. I think those are the impulse manifolds,
Really?
which means I think this whole thing here
Yeah.
spins around.
Ah,
I,
that
I
that kind of fits the kind of theme that they have in a
and
lot of ships in Discovery.
it fits a lot of their motifs. So I think
Yeah,
the bridge
it's probably on the other
is
side.
actually right in here somewhere.
That could very well be it. So it could be rotating.
Yeah,
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, that's
I think, just because sometimes in some of the shots, I think it may be in one of the. I got these things custom made because the guy was just had amazing rates.
yeah.
That's not it. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
See,
Oh, that's an interesting design.
these things are glowing red. So I think this thing turns. I think these are the. I think these are the impulse exhausts.
And I wonder if then that part could then be detachable, similar to like a saucer section
Yeah, I think
for like emergency evacuations.
this whole thing could conceivably
Yeah.
be ejected. So I think the bridge is kind of in here, maybe not right on top, because there's not the sensor dome that we expect, but you don't ever see the other side here.
Yeah.
So
That's a good
I'm
point.
thinking, this area could be like a viewport of some, because we've entered the era of gigantic windows, uh,
Yeah.
and holographic displays for the view screen. So I think the windshield is actually right here
Yeah.
on the front, and these are your impulse engines. And when you're cruising along at sublight, this thing rotates around 180 degrees.
And just drives it all forward.
And yeah, so I think the bridge is actually, in here somewhere. I could be wrong. It could be under this big shiny light here.
It might be them standing with a flashlight at the window trying to see
Yeah,
outside.
because I've got there's no way to tell. There's no obvious, but people have asked, where's the bridge on this thing? And it's like, it could be right under here, or it could be, like I said, back here. My gut, for some reason, just because they try to put it in a kind of a more central location. This is closer to the center at sublight. If
Hmm.
I'm correct, and this actually does spin around, but
Interesting theory. It would be nice if we get to see more of the ship on screen in uh probably doubtful for season 5, but anything else set in
I
pretty
know
safe in
I
Frontiers.
know in the trailer for season 5 you see a couple of them in the background, but I don't know that we'll actually get to see one, up close or anything.
It might be worth getting in touch with the designer of the ship and ask what their inspiration was for that.
Yeah, if I could ever, if I had any idea who that was, I might do that. Let's see if we let's see. Thank you, brother.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm glad you like that idea. I had to come up with something. Deflector shield. What? I guess I'm not quite uh understanding the.
Or maybe instead of impulse, those
Are
are the deflector shields.
oh possible? Yeah, I can see that. Is that what you mean, old school? You'll have to let us know. Brian, no, I did not do the custom. I commissioned it from a guy called Pundus, who did. He actually did some. I think he did some concept work for Dave Blass on
Oh wow.
Picard.
Oh, his work
Uh,
certainly looks good enough.
and I could, but I mean, I will put a link to his contact info. But his rates are incredible. I mean, those 3 ships. The price was extremely reasonable. The bridge could be under the leading edge. Yeah, it could be. Not
Hmm.
gonna Not gonna lie, there's no way to tell. I have no earthly
Yeah.
until somebody tells us. I'm just, kind of making it up
Just all
for
guessing.
for purposes of my story. I'm gonna say that it's back here and swings forward when they go to sublight, but I could be proved wrong tomorrow. You never know.
Yeah.
You never
Hey,
know.
it's whatever you want it to be, right? That's the great thing about fiction.
They see deflectors. They have they just call them shields. I'm sure they've got a navigational deflector on there somewhere.
Somewhere.
Uh, looks like the sword from Halo.
Yeah, it kind of does actually.
Yeah. I
Uh,
can't actually.
yeah, the energy sword. Yeah. Yeah. I see it. I
Yeah,
see it.
I can definitely see where you'd get that impression. I cannot argue that at all. And yeah, okay. But let's
Yeah,
see.
that's a nice design. I like that.
It's like, okay, this is going. It doesn't get used. It's like, it's not huge. I think there was a typo. I think Aaron told me that there was a typo in Captain's Log where
Mm.
it's supposed to be scale 3.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, and I love smaller ships in
Yeah.
games. I don't. That's one reason why I like the fact that the Neo, the Constitution 3, the Titan in Picard, I loved. I loved that it was a smaller ship.
Yeah.
I mean,
Stop going bigger and bigger and bigger.
things didn't have to necessarily go big and huge, and it looks like a much more reasonable sized, you know, especially when you put it up against something like. I mean, well, you saw it next to the Enterprise D at the
Yeah.
end there, but I mean, you put it next to something like the Enterprise F, it's like, good lord, ship is
Yeah.
big.
When I first saw the Enterprise F and I saw I mean, not even in the Picard show, but I mean, from Star Trek Online, there's a
Yeah,
graphic showing the size comparison. I was like, good gravy. Why is it so massive? Why is it? I mean, I know the tendency to always go bigger and better, but there comes a point where I'm glad in Picard season 3, like, okay, for our new hero ship, we're going to step back and we're going to make it a ship that, I mean, it has to be smarter than it is powerful. You
yeah,
can't just expect this thing to be a flying Star Destroyer, just blowing up anything in its path, being able to take on any enemy. You're going to have to really carefully consider your actions on there. And it's an
Yes.
explorer. It's not a destroyer. So it makes a lot of sense. And I was happy to see the scale reduced for that ship.
Yeah. I was real happy to see that on screen. Uh well, you and I are both. He says by way of clumsy segue. You and I are both clearly playing dress up tonight.
We are. We are indeed. We are indeed.
How did you get started doing that?
I How did I get started? I would say it is maybe 25 plus years in the making. I've always wanted Star Trek costumes, always wanted Star Trek uniforms, and not having the money to get Star Trek uniforms. And then finally, having a an adult life, an adult career, and being able to decide where my money is going to go.
Yeah.
Uh, using the Star Trek Adventures game as the impetus for it. But it would be nice if I could have a costume to wear, and I've wanted one for ages, so I bought one, and just led to another and another and another, and that's where I am today. So
Yeah. I've
uh,
only got a couple.
yeah, I have more than I should. Probably 2 years ago on Halloween, my in-laws came over, as they often do. I usually throw together some kind of Halloween party because it's not really big in Japan. So I invite over the in-laws, my wife's brother, his wife, their kids, and like they don't have costumes, of course. They don't do anything, and I keep saying like, "Oh, bring a costume, bring a costume." They never do. So 2 years ago, I said like, "Oh, I got an idea. I could let everyone wear a Star Trek uniform." And my wife said, "How many do you have?" And I quickly changed the subject. But then during the party, I brought them out, and everyone got into a costume, and we had a family photo of everyone, ranging from like TOS era all the way up to I don't think I had Discovery back then, but at least Picard season 2, we had a whole timeline going on, so it was fun. It was fun. But how'd you get into it? Like, I know we talked about the badges we have here, so I laid out my badges as well just to see which ones I have. But I'm not really like my co-host, who unfortunately hasn't been able to join the channel very often in the last few months. He's really into cosplay. He's really great. He goes to conventions. He does a lot of stuff, so he gives a lot of tips and advice for me to help me get into it. But how about yourself, sir? Mm, look at that. Look at that. That's a nice display. Oh, your section
Yeah.
31, I think, is
My,
trying to
my
run
my
away.
section
Is that?
31 is, yeah.
Yeah.
I,
It's
I've got
trying
I've
to
got I've got
sneak
I've got
away.
more badges than magnet
Well,
board here, I think.
yeah. And badges are so much easier to utilize day by day.
Yeah.
Because I can't go out. Yeah, there we are. Where's mine from
Thank
Legacy?
God
Yeah.
for fan sets, right?
Fan sets. And like fan sets, yeah, that's where I get the majority of my badges. The only one that is not a fan set that I use is actually my Discovery badge. Uh I got this one also from eBay, the Mart, the same
Yeah.
place where I get like all these.
Oh, that's where I
Uh
got my shirts. Yeah.
Yeah, all Costume Art, they make the best affordable costumes. The quality is great. The badges, however, the quality is okay. The design is good, but they're always too small.
Yeah.
The Costume Art badges are not the proper size, but the reason why I use the Costume Art one for Discovery is Fansets does have a badge, but it does not have the rank pips on it. It's just a
Yeah.
blank badge, and I wanted
That
the I wanted the
ah
ranks.
See, for me, that's a feature, not a bug.
Oh, really? Really? Well,
Yeah,
I,
the little, I have it here. What did I do with it? Where did I put it? Ah.
oh, and while you're searching for that, I'll just also show the collar rank thing. I know it's on the fansets thing. I was just
Oh.
using it to hold that. This was 3D printed by my co-host Jeremy for me, because again, the costume art
Cool.
one was way too small. So he
Yeah.
made this one for me specifically. So those are the only two non-fan set ones that I use.
Yeah, I had a one of my friends 3D printed me a phaser holster,
Oh, how cool!
and it's like, okay, this looks very cool in the black, and the tiny little, way too small Discovery Command badge
Yeah.
that came with my
I don't know if I could get it.
Discovery Season 2 Enterprise uniform.
Yeah.
I wound up nipping the pin off of it and epoxying it to the side of the holster to make it look a little more.
Ah, so
And
you modified it.
I believe I left it across the room, so I can't show that off. But,
I you mentioned about 3D printed. Same, my buddy who Jeremy from the YouTube channel who did the collar badge. He also 3D printed this for me. This little beauty.
oh, sweet!
Yeah, it also does light up, but I don't know. I don't think I have the battery in that connected in here. But he started working with soundboards afterwards, so he might be making his next phasers actually have sound. But this is I didn't even know he was sending this to me. Oh, what is that? Are those the Strange New Worlds?
This is the Strange New World. This is the Remembrance Day pins.
Yeah. Oh wow. Where are the names of them?
I looked into a really good deal on those.
Yeah, where are the names on all of those?
Let's see. You've got the Discovery, the Gallant, the Palenque, the Antares, the SS Puget Sound, the USS Angelou, the Congo, the Farragut, the Excalibur, the Xinjiao, the Yangtze, and the Cuyahoga.
Oh, I always wanted to know what all the other ships were on those pins. So that's the first time I got to hear it. Thank you.
So yeah, I looked into those. It's like, oh wait, we had some returns, or some that they gave us an address and it was a bad address and we can't get hold of them, so we're
Wow,
we're
you lucked out.
I lucked out. It's like a third of the price.
That is
Which
amazing.
was
That's lucky.
and perfectly timed, because it's like the original set was $120.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
you want to get a discount on that.
They weren't fooling around with that, and I was like, I can't justify that. At some point
No,
I'll get
no.
them, and I'd love to wear them. I'd love to get a couple of specialty ones. I'd love to find someone who 3D prints these,
Mm-hmm.
and get, so I can get a couple of custom ones made. In all of my, and I haven't found a way to work her in yet, but in all of my games, somewhere there is either a ship or a station called DeFalco.
Okay.
And when I was in the Air Force and all we had was Fastatrek, we would play, I want to say, every other week, because we all had different shifts, but our schedules worked for every other Saturday we could get together and just lay on for however many hours it took. And one of my best friends was a girl named Carmen DeFalco, and we both did our time, got out, and she got leukemia and passed away.
No.
And ever since then, ever since then, I've worked some kind of patrol ship, or a defense station or something. I've always named after Carmen, and I haven't worked it into the captain's log game yet. I will find something for her to do.
Yeah, but perfect for a self-designed remembrance badge.
But yeah, I would love to get one of these made, for the USS DeFalco.
Yeah, definitely.
I would love to find someone who's 3D printing these things, and could do one of those up in Air Force blue and do that for me. I haven't had a chance to really look around and see if anybody is printing these things.
Yeah,
I would love to, if I ever got to meet Melissa Navia at a con, and so far she hasn't come to a con anywhere near me, so it's kind of a moot point that. But if she were, I'd love to get one named after her husband, just to get to give her.
Yeah,
I give her one of those. Give her one of those that says USS Bannon and Kelly Green, and he was an Irishman. And but we're getting morbid. My God, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to go off on that.
No. That was it fit perfectly with those remembrance badges, and I mean that's what it's for. You want to cherish the memory of those that we lost, which unfortunately the number keeps growing.
Yeah, we've lost quite a few over the past several years, but I got into it largely saying I finally got to a point where I just said, the heck with it. I am a grown man. If I want to wear a costume to a game or to a con, I'm gonna do it. And so I liked what they had done with the new version of the original series uniform from Discovery Season 2. I got that. I got this one because I thought those 2385 uniforms from Picard Season 1, I thought they looked really sharp. I toyed with the notion of getting the Admiral's version, but I'm like, I have never, the height of my arrogance is, if I was, in Starfleet, I would, the height of my ranking arrogance would be, would stop at captain. I would take Kirk's advice. Don't let him do anything that takes you off that bridge. Which is where Jean-Luc Picard's problems started when you get down to it.
See, it's good advice. You should stick with it.
But Bill, it's been nearly 2 hours since we started doing this.
Yes, indeed. And today is also my group session day. So in about an hour and a half, I'm going to be right back here running a session for the next 4 hours.
I need to let you get off and go, eat something.
Yeah, I'm going to grab a very quick lunch.
Say hello to your wife and daughter for a minute, and
they'll get to see me dressed like this, run downstairs into the kitchen. My wife will pretend she didn't see it, and then I will. My favorite was coming downstairs when she had guests over, and I was in my Picard Season 2 uniform, all decked up. And it came in, they're like, what is that?
Did I miss something?
Yeah. My wife was mortified. Her friends insisted it looked great. And, I have to side with them. The uniform is spectacular. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But, yeah, it was great. I'm glad. Thank you for inviting me. It's
I'm
been a long
glad we
time
had
coming.
I'm glad we had a chance to do this. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for
I had a
taking the.
great time. Sorry that the schedule could not work so well every time we planned up until this date, but finally,
Yeah, well,
finally it is.
the real world happens, and the fact is you do live 15 hours in the future. So
It's very difficult to plan, which again is why like today's session is so important with my group because like, oh my God, we're all ready. Let's go.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're all here. We've all got
yeah,
the thing. We've all got our dice. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So I'm gonna
that's it.
let you go, Bill.
Yep.
Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it so much. It's been a lot
Thank
of fun.
you.
I think the talk was great.
I had a great
Uh,
time. Thank you so much. Yeah.
so
Love to chat with you more.
well, one of these days, if we can figure a
We can
schedule out,
schedule again. Yeah. Yeah.
as things get closer to second, I'm sure I'd love to have a talk.
Yeah.
If we can find some way to have some kind of a round table,
Oh yeah, that would be
but
great.
with the horrendous number of time zones, you know, it might be tricky. We'll see what happens though.
Yeah. We'll try our best, right?
All right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Guys, thank you all for coming in and watching our stream. We appreciate you participating. We thank you so much for your time. If you're catching this on the replay, I've got a link to Bill's YouTube channel, The Final Frontiersman.
Yeah, come
Head
on
over
by.
there, subscribe. Give me a like and subscribe. I'm always for increasing my subscribers. But until next time, guys, live long and prosper. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. Take care.
Where are my hands disappearing? There are.
Oh yeah,
He's there. I
yeah,
wasn't flipping. I wasn't flipping you off there.
yeah. Virtual back. There's a reason I just hang a green curtain behind me. It's like it's not because I want it's not because I want such great. I don't want anybody to see the mess behind me.
That's why I use mine. This office. Yeah. Yeah.
All
Thanks a
right.
lot. Thanks again, Patrick. See you,
Thanks a
everyone.
lot,
Thanks for
guys. Take
chatting.
care. Good
Thank you.
night.